This is the Umbrella Academy on TV Podcast Industries, and we are talking about the Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 9, 7 Bells.
I've seen worlds end in ways that would knock your socks off, old man.
Wow. Reginald Hargreaves, you never cease to surprise me.
That is some comfort. You know, they all run together after a while. But you never forget your first. Your home. Your original sin. You never stop wondering, did I do enough to save the people I loved?
Did you?
No. But I was hoping you children could help me out with that.
And there it is. Sorry, Reg. I got a message from the future.
What future?
My future self told me very explicitly not to save this world.
You are an arrogant son of a bitch, aren't you? Future you. Present you. The past is as much a mystery as the future. You ruined your life once before by not listening to me. Are you prepared to do that again?
Fine. I'll attend your stupid meeting.
Excellent.
Welcome back, fellow Brollies. Yes, this is TV Podcast Industries, and we are discussing the penultimate episode, episode 9 of the Umbrella Academy Season 3, entitled 7 Bells. I am one of your hosts, John.
And I'm one of your other hosts, Derek. We took a little bit of a summer break from the Academy there, didn't we, for a week or two?
Yes.
Yeah, they had the wedding and then we had a little honeymoon, I guess, afterwards, talking about Sandman and talking about She-Hulk and closing out Miss Marvel and closing out The Boys. And now we're back for the penultimate episode of Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. Good stuff. Getting to the conclusion of this third season. Will it be the final one? Who knows?
Yes, exactly. Don't know right now. Hasn't been confirmed for a fourth season just yet. But apparently, creator of the show, Steve Blackman, has a lot of ideas for where it could go after the final episodes.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. Excellent stuff.
Chris isn't with us just yet, but we are expecting that he might join during this podcast. He will definitely be with us for the finale podcast, though. So hopefully we'll hear from him and his thoughts on these episodes as well.
Yes. Remember to subscribe to the podcast over at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe to any good or evil podcast catcher of your choice. Mm-hmm. But let us get into our spoiler-filled discussion. Derek, what are some of the episode details for Episode 9, 7 Bells?
Well, the creators of the show are Steve Blackman and Jeremy Slater. This was based on the comic book series by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba, and this episode was directed by Paco Cabezas again, who directed episode 8 and lots of episodes of Penny Dreadful and Penny Dreadful City of Angels, as we mentioned last time.
Yes, good stuff. He does dark quite nicely.
Does good work. The teleplay for this episode was written by Robert Askins. This is the fourth of 5 episodes of Umbrella Academy that he's written, and he's written the finale of the show along with Steve Blackman as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Whilst we're not yet covering episode 10, good to know that Steve Blackman, the creator of the show for television, is involving himself with the writing for the final episode. Always a good sign.
Exactly. John, do you want to give us the summary for the penultimate episode of Umbrella Academy Season 3?
Yes. Very short, sharp and sweet this time. Reginald Hargreaves goes all out to convince the children to sign on to his plan to save the universe. Meanwhile, number 5 tries to recover a very drunken memory, and Allison has a significant change of heart towards Viktor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she does. What we normally do on these episodes is we talk about our big moments of the episode. I can kick this one off, I think, because I think getting an explanation of what was going on with Luther for his time on the moon was probably my favourite big moment of this episode. This is really a setup episode for the finale, getting everybody into place, but getting this flashback to the 3+ years that Luther spent on the moon, thinking that his mission, or eventually thinking that his mission was a mission of no consequence, that had no real plan about it other than to get him off Earth.
Yes.
And we finally find out the reason for it was actually he was protecting the body of Reginald Hargreaves' wife.
Yes, Abigail. Yes.
Yeah. But I have to give huge props to Tom Hopper for his scenes here. Must have done tons and tons of takes to try and get all of this movement around the vessel that he's confined to for all these years, getting it all right. You know, the initial piece where he's all happy and upbeat and they're playing the Cure song, the happy Cure song, as we like to call it, Friday I'm in Love. And he's kind of really happy to be up there and happy to be on a mission and sending letters or his updates back to Reginald Hargreaves with love from Luther on them. And then he's starting to get more and more depressed as the time goes on and starts eating, 10 times the rations he's supposed to be eating and starts destroying the things that are supposed to be keeping him calm, no longer watering his plants. Really good fun how they dot this stuff around and move the time along until you see that he's been there for 500-600 days.
Yeah, I just love the montage of it, of Luther falling apart, from just the repetitiveness of the tasks that he's doing, the boredom of effectively being in a capsule on the surface of the moon, I guess that can barely hold him given his size, and just that, him falling apart, like from Lunar Day 0 to 406, he's just down and depressed, but by Lunar Day, 900 and whatever, he's a complete and utter mess.
Yes.
I did also thought, that it was kind of interesting that he was actually packaging up the samples in an envelope to send to Reginald on the moon. So I guess there was some kind of lunar postal service that Reginald put on, but I thought that was kind of quite quirky.
Lots of little quirky things. Yeah, 972 days is the breaking point for being all alone on the moon on your own. I think that's what it looks like from this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. That was my big moment from the beginning of the episode. I really liked Tom Hopper and his all his time spent on the moon, and I think it kind of leads into why he is so resistant to joining Reginald. He followed along with Reginald's plan, was never told what it was. He may have had more respect for Reginald had he been told that this was the plan all along, that he was there to protect Abigail effectively, but never got to know that piece of information, so doesn't want to join up with Reginald's new plan now.
Well, that's it. And I guess that moves me on to my big moment, which is Reginald Hargreaves here. And it's just so well threaded through what he does here. The tagline for it is, well, I tried the wedding, now I need to try the funeral, because Reggie, in the end, kills Luther with his alien-like serrated appendage.
Yes, he does, yeah.
And then, slices him across the chest for good measure to really make sure that he's dead. But it all builds up quite well and is intermeshed with sort of the after effects of the wedding, where he's kind of, he's imposing himself on each one of the Umbrella Academy here, in some way. And I just loved how he did it, whether it's him bringing the breakfast to Viktor with a serious question, him sending Allison effectively because in this regard, she's his sidekick to wake up Luther and Sloane, to not only apologize for the wedding previously, but then, to deliver the message of this family meeting, which Luther is so resistant to.
Yeah.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. And also then he goes to 5, as well, where he's just sitting on the edge of what's left. And I just loved the imagery of really effectively the Hotel Obsidian being on its little island with just a few blocks around it, but sort of at the end of the road, at the end of the universe, 5 sits with his feet dangling over the edge, drinking a really cheap bottle of liquor. But in his own way, his recovery from his excessive drinking that night before, he's trying to, he knows that something went down, something was up, and he's trying to remember what his dad was up to.
Yeah.
You know, this is typical Reggie Hargreaves. And that's the thing, in the back of your mind, he's sociopathic. He didn't really care for the welfare of his children other than to get them to the end of his plan, which he's had all along. And 5 is just, it's in his bones and veins that he knows this. So I really like how offhand 5 is with his father as well. But this all leads to the family meeting where you get to know about the myth of the 7, but ultimately there's a 4-5 vote against effectively not saving the universe. And Reggie just believes he has failed. And he's failed them, and this will lead to the universe being doomed. And so, right, I've tried the wedding, now I need to try the funeral, as he kills Luther. And then, of course, you also see that his plan also involves Klaus, where as the Hotel Obsidian starts to be consumed by the Kugelblitz, which was really good, and with the death of Luther being pinned on the Guardian from Hotel Obsidian from down the passage, everyone's piling into the passage, but Reggie basically says, but not you, Klaus. You've been really good at getting me back and integrated into the family, but you're too much trouble.
Too erratic,
and
yes.
so, and I think the nice idea with Klaus is him killing himself effectively before he's consumed by the Kugelblitz, so he knows that because he knows where he's going to go now.
Yes.
He's confident in that ability.
He knows he's going to come back.
Yeah. So I really like that.
Yeah.
I completely agree, John. Like, it is.
Oh,
like
welcome.
Thank you. I was de-Kugelblitzed. A reverse Kugelblitzed? Or...
I guess that's how it's working. Yeah.
Yeah. I Kugelblasted? I don't know. Well, what is the... Fellow Brolly Dollies, what is the reverse Kugelblitz?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But welcome back, Chris.
Thanks.
Yes, we said Chris might join us during the podcast for episode 9 and hopefully give us his thoughts on the episode and some of his big moments. We've already talked about Luther on the moon, and John has talked about the conversation with Reginald, and Reginald going round to everybody trying to recruit them to his side of the argument. And I guess changing from getting everybody together for a wedding, getting them together for a funeral as the other option there. Any other big moments from the episode that stood out to you, Chris?
I suppose for me, it's just really the continued deplorable actions of our once beloved rumor. Really getting down and dirty in the mud with Reginald. And seeing how much that plays out through this episode, even in the family meeting, for example, where she's pushing for her way, trying to get it through, make those decisions. Yeah. And it's just not going the way she wants. And you can see it frustrating her more and more and more and more. And we talked, like, we did talk so much about kind of how bad she was getting, how bad she is getting, but to see her revealed in Five's memory, as being the perpetrator of the actions, or the conspirator, if you will. Yeah.
It's a real surprise, though, isn't it, that she doesn't use her powers at all? I was really surprised that that seemed to be the way I felt it was going. It was like as if Reggie was saying to her, "You've got the power to convince everybody here to go to the other side of the Hotel Oblivion, join us in the other side." I thought that was the deal that they'd made, effectively. So it was really interesting when it gets to the family meeting, and even though she's gone to convince Luther and Sloane to come and join the meeting, and gone to convince Viktor to join the meeting and apologize to him for blaming him for everything, even though she did all of that, nobody takes her side as such. None of them, anyway. None of the people she spoke to took her side. And she never once used I heard a rumor that you wanted to follow along with Reggie's plan or something like that, you know? Especially having some of them alone. So she could have done that with Viktor. She could have said to Viktor, I heard a rumor that you were following along with Reggie's plan, and nobody else would have questioned it.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised at that as well, that she didn't use her power. But then as well, they remember that they've been rumored. Yeah. So I guess this was trying it more subtly. Yeah. And again, it's another thread of Reginald Hargreaves' plan. You know, he's used Klaus, he's using Allison, even though she potentially will be rewarded for what she's doing from the deal, you know, and uses Luther in this episode, and has used Luther and Sloane's wedding, all these different ways to try and really sort of insert himself in order to get them to come along through the passage to Hotel Oblivion. I mean, I think, so Allison's just, I guess it was just to prevent it being just so on the nose. It seems that Reggie is trying to be subtle here about it, even though his methods aren't that subtle. I think as well with Allison apologizing to Viktor, like, I just love, you know, it's not genuine.
Yes,
and you get the great moment where they hug, where it's not only Allison hardens, but you can see Viktor kind of realizing this isn't right, you know, and that kind of couples with 5, you know, suspecting it's some kind of trap. So, you know, that vote doesn't go Reginald's way at all. And you see the effect of that on Allison, where she kind of takes herself away and is just sort of vents in the hallway, you know, because this is presumably to get back to her child.
Yeah. Only chance to achieve her goals, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but you know, it's nice you've got that suspicion fermenting there from both Viktor and 5 about the intentions of Allison.
Absolutely. That's kind of the big moments for this episode, because it is all centered around the world collapsing at the Kugelblitz taking it apart, and I do like that it pretty much ends with Hotel Oblivion standing alone as the whole world is collapsing around. That is a great shot. I love Reggie and 5 sitting just looking over the destruction of the world. Reggie giving his last warning to 5, you know, you need to get out of there, and 5 about to say to him, don't tell me what to do, and then realizes he means the side of the world he's sitting on is about to collapse as well. Really good. A couple of little other things that are in the episode that I really liked. 5, his hazy memory of the speech that he gave at the previous night. Yeah. And in the hazy memory, it looked like he was being really offensive. Like, who would believe that guy, Luther, the big hairy ape that sat on a planet on the moon for so many years, he's the one of us that gets married first. Yeah. And then they all give him a massive applause when he walks in, saying it was such a wonderful speech about bringing the families together. So are they all taking the piss out of their brother after he gave a big drunken speech, or did he actually give a really polite speech and he remembers it as being a really drunken speech?
Yeah, because he says, well, you are family, but you're still deplorable.
Yes.
You know, so that was really good. I also, we do as well from Reggie, when he has the family meeting, you see that kind of flashback to him using that gun to find this portal on the site of the hotel, and him, you know, bringing the others through, the mercenaries, to go into the Hotel Oblivion. You know, and he so you kind of get sort of just the knowledge of his intentions there, that, you know, he has set this up, he has found the portal, he's built the hotel, and that the answer is on the other side, but is protected by the Guardian that Lila and Diego encountered.
Yeah. We've already discussed it based on what you've said, but the moon reveal for me was so cool. Like, just like that's three seasons in the making. Like, and it's the same actress. I was just like, bravo.
Really good.
And it was just a nice, like, oh, cool. Okay, now we know why he was on the moon. Now we know where she was, since her kind of brief appearance in that flashback in season 1. Absolutely love that. And I will quickly just love to state that, like, Reginald's death puncture, like, spear that comes out of his arm, that's cool. Like, this is like the closest we've got to see since last season, where he went all, I'm about to take my skin off.
Yes, when he went into a proper monster.
Yeah. I am hoping we get a kind of full, kind of almost like the Fly moment, where he kind of fully takes off his skin and he's like full bug underneath. And I just want to see it once. Give me 2 seconds flash of him just going full bug or reptilian. Just it would be great.
Excellent.
Yeah, I really enjoyed as well. The comment from Diego, where he says it's a long curved blade, and everyone questions him and says, how do you know that? And he's like, I might not be much, but I know knives, as that is his power. And I'm like, I just really like that.
Yeah, I really like that as well. And something else I do really like is, again, Diego and Lila's relationship is fantastic. Neither of them want to give any ground at all here. If Lila wants to go with Reggie and the plan, then Diego wants to tell her no, she has to stay behind and he has to go. And then if she's definitely going to go on it, then he's definitely staying behind. So his vote cancels out her vote. Just so one of them can have the upper hand. I really like that, even in the conversation that they have in the barbershop about their reasons for going or not.
Yeah, I really love their kind of relationship. It's just spot on for those two characters.
Yeah, where Diego's just going, can I just win one, please? Can I have one conversation where I get the answer right and you go, yes, I agree with you? And she goes, but then you wouldn't be in love with me because me being infuriating is what makes you love me.
Yeah, exactly. Really like and the other question posed, I think, after the wedding night is, Ben showed Klaus, he opened up his Camino. Did he bone Klaus? I guess that was the suggestion.
I don't think that was the suggestion. I know that when they're talking to Luther, Five's talking to Luther and kind of says everybody's had sex last night, and Luther goes, wait a minute, who did Ben have sex with?
Exactly, but I think because of that, and because of that scene, I guess initially I just thought, it was an opening up, but given that they're all kind of
it was definitely
semi-state of undress, and I guess being on the pool table, at least it's a firm foundation. And, Klaus being so annoyed that, Ben has gone back to being Ben from the Sparrow Academy, and his, Benarino, his little pet name. And because of that, I was just like, well, maybe it could have happened. Because Ben got very angry very quickly after seemingly waking up in a good mood. So maybe he wasn't planning on being sort of seduced by Klaus and it was all the alcohol talking. I don't know.
Any other final notes in the episode? The one I wanted to mention, just because you have mentioned about Klaus and Ben, he seemed to be getting on quite well with everybody at the end of the wedding, as he had lightened up, and Klaus is saying he's lightened up and opened his Camino to him. But you did notice that he had that somebody had written "a-hole" on his back.
Yes.
Still, we didn't see him shirtless by the end of the last episode, so that happened after the whole family were all getting on well with Ben. Someone still wrote "a-hole" on his back. Maybe he got a glimpse of himself in the mirror, and that's why he was getting so aggressive in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that was it. And then final one. I did also like Five's placement when he woke up after his drinking session.
Me too.
Top of on top of the cooker in the kitchen.
Well, it was on top of a shelf in between the extractor and the cooker. Yeah, that was the same for me. I was like, how on earth did he get there? But so I really enjoyed that.
I presumed it was looking for more booze. Oh, I think I'll just rest here for a moment.
It's a good job the cooker wasn't on, I guess.
It is. I guess the chef has been taken by the Kugelblitz already.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Well, and I'm guessing as well that, yes, Pogo has as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's
They were
gone.
the last people left. Yeah.
You know?
They're all dead, Dave. Everybody's dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Overall, though, John, what did you think of the penultimate episode of Umbrella Academy Season 3?
And I really enjoyed this, you know, again, but it was very much character for me, you know, just the machinations of Reggie and these the interplay between Allison and Viktor, Five being kind of slightly ahead of the game with his suspicions and everything. I really loved Luther's whole sort of focus here, you know, about the different relationship he's had with his dad. You know, he was absolutely loyal to a T, but he was just ignored, forgotten, and he's really just, you know, that's it. You know, the relationship is done, and for him then to be murdered by Reggie, you know, even with almost praise from Reggie about him being a remarkable young man despite everything he'd been put through by Reggie. And I loved how Reggie's, you know, evil intent, you know, or just focused intent, just mixes in with this post-wedding day hangovers and blues to some extent. So
you've had your fun, now back on track.
Yeah, and the moon stuff was just really good, and seeing Abigail again, okay, nice to tie in. So yeah, I'd give this 3.5 apocalyptic votes out of 5.
Excellent.
Oh my God, very on the nose.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I like this one too. You know, I liked kind of finding out that Abigail is the Nora Fries of the Umbrella Academy universe. Yep. She's the frozen deceased wife of our main antagonist, I guess, and Reggie is the main antagonist of the show now. So I thought that was interesting. Love the reveal of everything that was going on in the moon with Luther. I thought it was a good time to do that as well for the show. Mostly, though, overall for this episode, because it's a penultimate episode, you're lining up the Skittles for the final episode. Which means it's all about the characters. I'm really glad I like these actors so much in their roles. They're written so well that I can just spend an episode in their company where they're tossing an idea back and forth, which is basically what was happening here. It wasn't a huge amount of forward momentum for the show. We got them from point A to point B, but we did lose 2 major characters in the show. We have Klaus and Luther dead by the end of the episode. Although we know Klaus will come back from the dead. But what happens if he comes back to the world that's already been eaten by the Kugelblitz, basically? Will he end off in the portal on the other side, or will he end off just consistently dying in this place where he died? I guess, will he consistently just keep going back to that point and keep falling back into death over and over again? We'll find out next episode, I guess.
I was going to say, little do you have to wait.
Not long to wait. Yeah. Not long to wait. Chris?
I have not much to add. I'm in love with this show, and it's on par with me with a really good Marvel film. But in terms of my excitement and eagerness to continue, and how much I want to kind of be in this world, and I think that really just comes down to the characters, but more the portrayal of the characters by these actors, because we are now 29. Nearly 30 episodes in. We've spent a lot of time with these people and these characters, and we've seen the ups and downs, the good, the bads. And I suppose that's what I enjoy. They're not one dimensional. Each of them are on different limits, and each of them have different. Hell, we just learned in this season that Klaus can come back from the dead. They're still giving us new tidbits, new information. we thought for a bit that potentially Hargreave was good. Reggie was good.
Or at least this version of him was.
This version. And then right up, like, and at the penultimate episode, no, he's bad. Same, like they're giving us answers to questions that we had in season 1. Like, in the penultimate episode of season 3. It's well written, it's well kind of thought through and pulled together. So I'm down to see where this goes in the finale, and it's going to kind of hopefully place us in a good spot for potentially season 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff. Let us quickly run to the Hotel Obsidian's lounge bar whilst it still exists, and grab a quick, short, sharp drink as fellow quizzers, fellow alumni. Yes, we are on our 9th question of the Obsidian Lounge Bar pub quiz. So, here we go. In the grand tradition of the myth of 7, the Norse had 7 what?
Ooh. What did the Norse have 7 of? Yeah, we hear here that Reggie needs 7 of the Umbrella Academy to fulfill his plan. So what did the Norse have 7 of? Interesting.
So just to repeat the question, the Norse had 7 what? Please send your answers, fellow quizzers and alumni, to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, and you will be in with a chance to win some Umbrella Academy goodies.
Yes, you will, and not long to get the rest of those answers in. There's 10 questions being asked throughout the podcast. There'll be the final question asked on the next episode, and then we'll do a quick wrap up and announce the winner of the Umbrella Academy goodies after that.
Yes,
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Let us get on to our feedback or messages from a dying universe, I guess so. In this case. First up, we have on episode 9, we have got some feedback in from Dr. Bob Phillips. He says, "Oh my, the end of the world can't stop the evil machinations of Reggie. How many tales is he weaving into each other? And exactly where does the truth end up? Didn't he create, not find the portal? Is the Iron Lung number 5 an alternative timeline one? Has Pogo actually vanished into the searing storm of paradox? What's the payoff promise to Allison? Will the universe really end this time?"
Find out next bat channel.
Exactly. Thanks, Dr. Bob.
Yeah.
Certainly, Pogo, I think, at this moment has been whisked off like Dorothy in Kansas, but this time with a static caravan in the searing power of the Kugelblitz.
I don't think even his motorbike could outrun that.
Well, no.
Well,
can you imagine he comes in at the very split second ending of the finale and saves the day? Just like Pogo on like a motorcycle, like zooms into the alternate dimension.
Nice.
It's like, come on, he'd be like, yeah. He's like the Fonz jumping the shark.
I think he would have run out of road as well. Whether there's any roads left to actually get his motorcycle on.
But where we're going, we don't need roads.
There you go. Good stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob. On the question about the portal, no, I think that was confirmed before that Reggie hadn't created the portal. He'd found it and built the whole concept of the hotel around it with the alternate side leading into the portal. So so that was something he was on Earth to find.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think the payoff promise to Allison, certainly given her reaction in the corridor after the vote went against her and Reggie, it must be something to do with how she's sort of gradually crumbled over this season, and about getting back to her child and her husband. But again, with everything going on, how does this portal, what are the answers in Hotel Oblivion?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob. We have a few voicemails in from Joe, a recent listener to our Umbrella Academy podcast, but with a few corrections on what we said in our last podcast. Here's Joe's first message to us.
love the podcast. There's a couple of details about Lila, though, that I would disagree with. Her apparently being on a bender in Berlin. There's no indication of that. She just looks like she has morning sickness, and as you pointed out, she then drinks a Coke. Also, at no point in the season does she actually drink. Like in episode 5, she very deliberately toasts one of the other guests and then puts her shot down and doesn't actually drink it. And the same thing happens in this episode as well, where Allison offers her a drink and she doesn't take it, and kind of like finds a reason why she wouldn't be drinking. So they actually peppered that in quite nicely, that she wasn't drinking at all. Also, by the way, Ritu Arya is a drummer in a band, so she's been drumming for a very long time, and not only just learnt it for this episode. But yeah, do love the podcast. I think Lila is amazing. She's my favourite character. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Joe. Well caught. Yeah, I did notice when looking back afterwards that even the rejection of the drink from Lila to Allison, when Allison's handing her the hip flask, and Lila's going, "Oh, I prefer the taste of the sting of a Guinness," was just a rejection of another drink of alcohol. There are no scenes where she's drinking alcohol. She just eats a lot of sushi. Is the only thing that she does. But no, she has refused alcohol throughout the show. And I can see how you'd read her waking up with morning sickness, effectively. As it's possible that could have been a hangover, but definitely nothing in the show indicating that. And as she gets up, she drinks a can of Coca-Cola. So very likely that she hasn't had a drink at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, great information on her being a drummer as well. Didn't know that. No. So really good stuff.
Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the Netflix band is coming. All the cast of all the shows have got their own bands. The Netflix band should be coming soon, I think.
Yeah, thanks so much, Joe. Great to hear your thoughts.
One more voicemail from Joe about some of the other things from the episodes.
Just forgot there was one detail that you also got wrong that kind of really annoyed me, was that it's Lila who says, "Should I be finding this hot?" when Five and Sloane are arguing over science, not Klaus. Klaus isn't even in the room. And I'm pretty certain it's Luther who talks about the Jennifer incident. Again, Klaus isn't around. Klaus is off doing other stuff in this episode. So yeah, just some of the smaller details.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we're covering so many other shows. We're kind of recording at the speed of light at the moment. So glad to have an eagle-eyed viewer here to catch some of these things.
Yeah, I must say, I just didn't even spot that it wasn't Klaus. So.
He wasn't even in the room. I think it's just sometimes we write our notes and we're like, I'm sure Klaus said a funny line in this episode. Was this his funny line? Exactly. Oh, that's terrible. Very, very poor of us not to catch those. Well, thanks so much for your feedback, Joe, again, and I'm really glad that you've been listening along with our coverage of Umbrella Academy as well. I think that's it for feedback for this episode. We've got a little more feedback for the finale. Thank you very much to everybody that's been sending in the feedback throughout the season. If you want to email us with any thoughts on Umbrella Academy, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or like Joe, you can leave us a voicemail through our website at tvpodcastindustries.com as well.
Yes, thank you so much for all the feedback. And remember, if you like what you hear, if you enjoy listening to our podcast, why not head on over and support us by going to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, where for $8 amount a month, you can keep the podcast going, and we can let one hamster out and actually hire a second hamster to keep the podcast servers going. That's an ongoing monthly amount to feed that hamster. Or if you just want to hydrate the hamster, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI, and where for a single one-off payment, you can buy that hamster more caffeine. He goes a bit faster, but he does slow down, so we just need to kind of keep him in that constant state of caffeine. Yes. Yes. That is so useful.
But yes, Derek, you have been reduced to being a hamster.
I know. I used to be co-host and producer and editor of the show. Now I'm Derek, the hamster of TV Podcast Industries. Oh well. Thanks very much for all your support, though. It's very, very good of you and my fellow co-hosts to be as supportive as they are of the hamster in the wheel turning.
Soon we'll have to set up buymesomegrain.com so you can get him some feed, some of the hamster feed.
Yes, but if you don't want to buy Derek a coffee or some grain/feed, you can support us by sharing the podcast through all the socials, leaving us a review, rating, all of those things. But more importantly, just get the word out. We're starting a number of new shows. Make sure you're around. Make sure you're spreading the word, because sharing the podcast and spreading the word is what, John?
It is, of course, sharing the love, fellow alumni.
Absolutely.
And brollies as well.
Yeah, there's lots of other stuff going on. We're covering Sandman on Netflix as well. So if you watch Umbrella Academy, we know you have access to Netflix. Go watch Sandman. We're 4 episodes into the show right now in our podcast. So check those out. And follow along with us for that show. We are starting She-Hulk as well. We've just kicked off She-Hulk with our review of the first episode of the new Marvel series as well. A lot of fun to be had in the She-Hulk show. Lots like some good comedy in there. And if you like Marvel, if you like Hulk, there's lots of stuff in there for you as well.
Excellent. Yes, thanks so much. We will be back next time with our discussion about the final episode of season 3 of the Umbrella Academy, which is called Oblivion.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, fellow brollies, for joining us. Remember, keep watching, keep listening. And of course, mind the gap to the edge of the universe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.